Check. 1 2 1 2.
Live across the universe.
Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's about that time, y'all.
you are now in the mix. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give it up for
ATL, stand up. You're locked in with the livest, realest, rawest talk in the game. This is the Bro Code Podcast ATL, where the culture talks back, the vibes stay heavy, and the code always respected. Don't touch that dial. Keep it right here, because we breaking the code live from the A.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Atlanta's best sports podcast. This is Bro Code Podcast ATL, live from K.L.P Studios, and produced by Kennedy Lucas himself. We hope everyone is having a great week. It's been a great week for sports, so here we go. The NFL draft projections just dropped, and they paint a stunning picture. The New York Jets have a mind-blowing 99.1% chance of landing in the top 10 picks. Let's dive into what these numbers really mean for the future of the league.
Well, that's fascinating, especially when you consider how the FPI runs 10,000 simulations to generate these probabilities. The Jets, sitting at 0-7, with a nearly 40% chance at the first pick, really shows how their season has imploded.
You know what's really interesting about these projections? The way they capture the complete collapse of some former contenders. The Titans, for instance, have plummeted to a 21.6% chance at the first overall pick. That's a dramatic fall for a team that was competing for championships not long ago.
And what's particularly striking is how the model clusters teams with similar records, but gives them vastly different probabilities of landing top picks.
Right. Take the Dolphins and Saints both at 1 and 6, but the model gives them almost identical chances at around 14% for the first pick. It's like watching a mathematical demonstration of parallel universe theory playing out in the NFL.
The symmetry in those numbers is remarkable. But let's talk about some of these teams with multiple first-round picks. That's where things get really interesting for the future of the league.
Oh, absolutely. The Browns are in such a unique position with their own pick projected at 6 and Jacksonville's at 18. That's the kind of draft capital that could completely reshape a franchise if they play their cards right.
Speaking of reshaping franchises, what do you make of the Raiders sitting at number 5 with nearly a 50% chance of landing in the top 5?
Well, that's one of the most telling projections in the whole dataset. The model is essentially saying that despite their current 2-5 record, it expects them to continue struggling rather than showing any significant improvement. And when you look at their underlying performance metrics, it's hard to disagree.
The model seems to be picking up on some deeper issues beyond just win-loss records. Look at how it treats the Vikings at number 10. They're 3-3, but only have a 36.7% chance of staying in the top 10.
That's because the FPI is factoring in their strength of schedule, scoring differentials, and probably even their historical performance patterns. But what really catches my attention is the bottom of these projections, that cluster of successful teams from picks 25 through 32.
You mean that murderer's row of the 49ers, Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, and Colts? It's like a who's who of well-managed franchises.
And speaking of well-managed franchises, let's look at how some teams have positioned themselves with multiple first-round picks. The Cowboys having their own pick at 16 plus Green Bay's at 27 gives them incredible flexibility in terms of draft strategy.
That kind of draft capital management really separates the consistently successful franchises from the ones that seem to be perpetually rebuilding.
You know what's fascinating about these projections? The way they might influence team behavior for the rest of the season. If you're the Titans looking at that 21.6% chance at the first pick, does that change how you approach player development and evaluation?
That's an excellent point. These probabilities could really impact how teams manage their rosters down the stretch, especially those with veteran players on expiring contracts.
And let's not forget about the quarterback implications. We could be looking at 4 or 5 teams in the top 10 who might be in the market for a new signal caller. That could lead to some fascinating trade scenarios as teams try to position themselves for their preferred prospect.
The domino effect could be huge, especially with teams like the Browns having multiple first-round picks to potentially package in a trade-up scenario.
Looking at the middle of the first round, Teams like the Chargers at 19 and Seahawks at 20 are in interesting positions. They're not out of playoff contention, but they're also positioned well enough to make a significant move up if they identify a must-have prospect.
And with the Seahawks having just a 2.7% chance of naturally moving into the top 10, they might be more inclined to be aggressive in trading up if the right opportunity presents itself.
These projections also highlight something interesting about team-building philosophy. Take the Patriots at 23. They've historically been successful finding value in that range rather than swinging for the fences with top 10 picks.
That's a great observation about different approaches to the draft. Not every improvement needs to come from a top 10 pick, and sometimes having that middle round flexibility can be more valuable for a well-rounded roster.
As we wrap up, I think the key takeaway here is how these projections are reshaping both fan expectations and front office planning. When you can quantify your team's chances of landing certain draft positions, it changes the entire conversation about team building.
Looking forward to seeing how these probabilities shift as the season progresses and teams either live up to or defy these statistical expectations.
Welcome back to The Daily Pulse, your essential guide to the week's most impactful stories. I'm Marcus Thompson, and today we're diving into the high-stakes world of the NBA, where every financial decision and draft pick trade can define a franchise's destiny. The league is a fascinating study in strategic timing, especially now under the new collective bargaining agreement. ESPN recently unveiled its Now or Later rankings, a mathematical model designed to assess which teams are most desperate to win a title immediately and which are patiently building for the future. It's a compelling look at the pressures and long-term visions shaping the league.
And Marcus, what a time to be talking about this. These rankings aren't just numbers. They're a tangible representation of the existential questions facing every front office. You've got teams pushing all their chips to the center, betting big on a championship run right now, while others are meticulously stacking assets, planning for a dynasty down the road. The Eastern Conference in particular feels like a pressure cooker this season, with several teams staring down a rapidly closing competitive window. It's truly a win now or maybe never scenario for some of the biggest names in the game. Let's dig into who's feeling that heat the most.
Absolutely, Tyler. Leading ESPN's Win Now urgency list are the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're projected above the second apron in 2025, having traded 4 first-round picks for Donovan Mitchell. Despite winning 64 games and the East's top seed last season, their second-round exit was a bitter disappointment. President Kobe Altman admits their runway is nearing its end, demanding immediate results from their expensive, talented young core.
The Cavs have invested nearly $400 million, Marcus, and the clock is truly ticking. They've made tactical adjustments, adding Lonzo Ball and shifting offensive responsibility to Evan Mobley, especially with Darius Garland's injury. DeAndre Hunter also steps into a starting role. This season demands more than just playoffs. It's about validating financial commitments and avoiding undeniable failure if they fall short of the conference finals. It's win now or face a tough financial restructuring.
Also in finals or bust territory are the New York Knicks. Massive trades for Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns in 2024, signaling immediate intentions with 6 first-round picks sent out. Their expensive core, even with Jalen Brunson's discounted extension, is built to contend now. Hiring Mike Brown for his higher-tempo offense aims to alleviate the burden on Brunson, who led the league in clutch scoring, maximizing their present window.
And Marcus, this win-now posture clearly limited their flexibility. We saw it with the failed pursuit of Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Knicks couldn't make a serious enough offer, underscoring aggressive strategy constraints. With Giannis's future uncertain, pressure on this roster to capitalize this season is immense. They've committed so much financially and in draft capital, Anything less than a deep playoff run would be a tough pill to swallow. This opportunity must pay off.
The urgency for teams like Cleveland and New York are magnified by the Eastern Conference's current state. Injuries to stars like Tatum, Lillard, and Halliburton have weakened the field, creating gap years for previous contenders. This opens a significant window for teams like the Orlando Magic, who jumped dramatically in the now or later rankings. They've amassed an expensive core with Banchero, Wagner, and Bane aggressively adopting a win-now posture, projecting as the second-best team in the East.
Absolutely. Injuries, while unfortunate, create an opportunistic vacuum. The Magic, after years of methodical building, suddenly have a very expensive core around the second apron line. It's a calculated risk, but in a wide-open East, it might be the right time to strike. Out west, the Minnesota Timberwolves rate as the most win-now group, having lost in consecutive conference finals. Their core is locked in, controlling only one draft pick in the next 6 years, highlighting their all-in approach.
Shifting gears, let's explore the win-later teams, meticulously building for sustained success. The mathematical model considers future draft picks crucial, and no team embodies this better than the Oklahoma City Thunder. Despite being defending champions in 2025-26, they rank far down the now or later list due to their astounding collection of future picks and swaps. They've extended Gilgeous-Alexander, Williams, and Holmgren, yet their asset cupboard remains overflowing from past trades.
It's truly remarkable, Marcus. Among title contenders, the Thunder are the team that least needs to win now. Their future is so bright, their championship window a bonus that arrived early. They have the flexibility to adjust, add, or maintain, regardless of current results. At the bottom of the now or later rankings are the Brooklyn Nets, the league's most win-later team. They possess by far the most draft capital, including extra first-round picks from the Knicks, 76ers, and Nuggets, a true war chest.
These contrasting strategies highlight the broader implications of the modern NBA and the new collective bargaining agreement. Teams must understand their competitive cycles. The Phoenix Suns, for instance, rapidly disassembled last season, trading Durant and waiving Beal to duck cap aprons, now poorly positioned for contention, a stark warning when ambition outweighs flexibility.
Exactly, Marcus. The line between contention and rebuilding is incredibly thin now. The now or later rankings perfectly illustrate this. For some, it's seizing a fleeting window with immense costs. For others, it's patient asset accrual, hoping to build a perennial winner. It makes for a constantly shifting strategic league.
A fantastic overview, Tyler. The NBA's future is truly fascinating. That wraps up another insightful Daily Pulse. Many thanks to Tyler Brooks. Join us next time. I'm Marcus Thompson, reminding you
The Los Angeles Dodgers are the overwhelming favorites to win the 2025 World Series and become the first repeat champion in a quarter century. That doesn't mean they've cornered all the talent in this year's Fall Classic. In fact, the American League champion Toronto Blue Jays feature 2 of the top 3 players heading into the series and nearly half of our top 20. Let's dig into the stars, ranking the best of the series participants on how good I think they'll be in this series, and predicting who will take home some superlatives by the time the dust settles. Top 20 players in the World Series. 1. Shohei Ohtani, SP/DH, Dodgers. Ohtani put up a combined 9.4 WAR in the regular season and is a huge favorite to win the National League MVP again. Then he one-upped himself with one of the greatest athletic performances of all time. 6 scoreless innings with 10 strikeouts and 3 home runs in the clinching game of the NL Championship Series. 2. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., 1B Blue Jays. Guerrero had a big regular season. 3.9 WAR, despite the 6th worst ball-in-play luck in the league, but has been white-hot in the playoffs, leading postseason players in most major offensive categories. 3. George Springer, DH, Blue Jays. Springer led the Jays in WAR in the regular season, has been very good this postseason, and his iconic ALCS Game 7 homer will live on. 4. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, SP Dodgers. All 4 of the Dodgers' starting pitchers are on a heater, but Yamamoto was the best of the group in the regular season by a lot and one of the top 5 pitchers in baseball. 5. Blake Snell, SP Dodgers. Snell missed the first 2/3 of the season with shoulder inflammation, but came back looking as good as ever. He might be on the best run of his career right now, with a 0.86 ERA in 3 playoff starts and the second-best underlying numbers, xFIP and xERA, in the playoffs among starters, behind Detroit's Tarek Skubal. 6. Mookie Betts, SS Dodgers. Betts, a clear future Hall of Famer, is 33 years old and has lost the standout power from his peak years, but is still an impact player. 7. Freddie Freeman, 1B Dodgers. One of the most consistently elite hitters of this era, Freeman just keeps performing, and he has a history of coming up large in the playoffs. 8. Alejandro Kirk, C Blue Jays. Kirk was quietly the second-best all-around catcher in the league this year, behind Seattle's Cal Raleigh, but isn't a huge star since his value is largely driven by on-base skills and pitch framing. 9. Max Muncy, 3B Dodgers. Muncy is surprisingly solid as a base runner and a defensive third baseman, and he has always been a dangerous hitter. 10. Tyler Glasnow, SP Dodgers. Glasnow's walks crept up during the regular season and the playoffs, but he has been missing bats as always and is inducing weak contact during his current hot streak. 11. Will Smith, C Dodgers. Smith hasn't been very good offensively in the playoffs, but had the third-best WAR amongst catchers in the majors this season, behind only Raleigh and Kirk. 12. Ernie Clement, 2B/3B Blue Jays. Clement posted a quietly solid 3.2 WAR this season, driven mostly by contact and defense, but has gone to another level in the postseason, hitting .429 with almost no ball-in-play luck due to his 4% strikeout rate. He's on a heater, but the Dodger staff is the type to possibly end that streak. 13. Dalton Varsho, CF Blue Jays. Varsho is above average at basically everything on the baseball field, but isn't truly elite at much. He missed time with shoulder and hamstring issues this year, but was on track for a career-best 4-ish WAR season. 14. Kevin Gausman, SP Blue Jays. Gausman posted the 10th best pitcher WAR in baseball this season, but has one of the lowest fastball velocities of pitchers in that range and has been hit around in the playoffs, though his career playoff performances are close to his regular season quality. 15. Tommy Edman, 2B Dodgers. Edman is a good defender at almost any position, but had the 12th unluckiest ball-in-play outcomes this regular season. That luck has turned around in the playoffs. 16. Trey Yesavage, SP Blue Jays. Like Gausman, Yesavige's splitter is his best secondary pitch, and he doesn't have standout fastball velocity or breaking ball quality. That said, Yesavige's splitter has been confounding hitters in his 6 career big league appearances, half of which have been in the playoffs. 17. Bo Bichette, SS Blue Jays. It sounds like Bichette will be able to return to the Jays lineup for the World Series, but he has been out the past 6 weeks with a knee injury, and it's hard to know what he'll look like in the short term. 18. Addison Barger, RF Blue Jays. Barger is usable defensively at a number of positions and broke out this year to be an above-average hitter, mostly due to his power. 19. Andy Pages, CF Dodgers. Pages hasn't been terrible at the plate this postseason, but he was a standout hitter, .272 average, 24 homers, and defender, plus 7 runs in 117 starts in center field in the regular season, en route to 4.0 WAR. 20. Teoscar Hernandez, RF Dodgers. Hernandez hit for power in the regular season, 25 homers, but didn't draw many walks or stand out defensively. This postseason, he has been hitting for even more power on a rate basis, so he sneaks on this list. Fastest pitch of the World Series will be thrown by Roki Sasaki. Sasaki narrowly wins this matchup with the hardest thrown pitch among these teams in the playoffs at 100.8 miles per hour, and he's fresher than Louis Varland, 100.7 miles per hour, and can go more max effort than Ohtani, 100.3 miles per hour. Others in the mix, Ohtani. Best breaking pitch will be Emmett Sheehan's slider. Sheehan's slider was, per pitch thrown, the best pitch on the Dodgers staff this season. It doesn't have a gaudy spin rate or crazy movement, but he throws it hard and hitters can't seem to track it. Others in the mix: Yariel Rodriguez's slider, Braden Fisher's slider, Brendan Little's curveball, Jack Dreyer's slider, Glasnow's curveball, Shane Bieber's curveball. Best changeup/splitter will be Yesevich. Splitter Yesevich offers a unique combination of movement profile. His slider moves to his arm side, a very high arm slot, and short extension, which brings his release even higher. Hitters haven't seen something like this before. Then add in a killer splitter, which he barely threw at East Carolina, where he was last season, and hitters don't know what to do. Others in the mix: Yamamoto's splitter, Gaussman's splitter, Snell's changeup. Most whiffs will be thrown by Snell. Snell has been red hot in the postseason. I explain why here, and should get 2 starts, but there are a number of strong candidates for this. Others in the mix: Yamamoto, Yesevich, Glasnow. Hardest hit ball in play will be hit by Guerrero. The odds for this are as close to 50-50 as you can get. Guerrero, 120.4, and Ohtani, 120.0 miles per hour, were second and third in max exit velo during the regular season behind Cincinnati's O'Neal Cruz, 122.9. Ohtani has a slight edge in playoff max EV at 117.7 to Vlad's 116.0. I'll lean to Vlad because he has been running hotter at the plate, and thus will get a few more chances to smoke one at a gaudy number. But Ohtani will be facing a weaker pitching staff, so this is still a coin flip. Also in the mix, Ohtani. Highest sprint speed will be recorded by Clement. The other main candidates are part-time players, who might get only some chances to open it up on the bases, but I expect Clement to be on base often in the series. Others in the mix: Hye-Sung Kim, Edman, Miles Straw. The batter who will record the most hits, Guerrero Clement, second in postseason hits with 18, might be held back a bit by the quality of the Dodgers pitchers, while Guerrero, first in postseason hits with 19, also makes a ton of contact, but gets the margin for error of having huge power too. Others in the mix: Clement, Nathan Lukes, Betts, Freeman, Springer. Best defender will be Kirk. If you consider framing to be a part of defensive value, you definitely should, and also factor in positional difficulty. I think you should. Then Kirk is the answer. He'll be impacting roughly half of the pitches in the series, and he was the second best framer in the league behind San Francisco's Patrick Bailey this regular season. Others in the mix: Clement, Edman, Betts.
College football, they say, is America's most traditional sport. But at USC, tradition looks different. It's where Hollywood meets hip-hop, where ancient Roman architecture meets South Central LA, and where an elite private university shares a fence line with one of the most culturally significant urban neighborhoods in America.
You know what's fascinating about that contrast? USC has more Heisman Trophy winners than any other school in history, but those trophies sit just yards away from the same streets that produce some of hip-hop's biggest legends.
And speaking of those Heismans, 8 of them arranged in a perfect semicircle in Heritage Hall, they tell a story that's so much bigger than football. From Mike Garrett in 1965 to Caleb Williams in 2022, each trophy marks a chapter in America's evolving story of opportunity.
Well, that reminds me of something Professor Todd Boyd, the notorious PhD, said about watching USC games as a kid in Detroit. He saw these players with afros playing under the California sun, and it represented something completely different from what other college programs were showing.
That's exactly right. And you know what makes USC unique among elite football programs? It's literally the only blue blood program located in what Keyshawn Johnson calls the hood. Like, imagine growing up so close to a major college program that you could just walk onto the practice field.
Speaking of Keyshawn, his story really captures what makes USC different, doesn't it? Here's this local kid who started out helping the equipment managers stuffing envelopes, just hanging around the program before becoming the #1 overall NFL draft pick.
And that connection to the community runs deep. You've got the Spirit of Troy marching band making this symbolic journey before every home game, crossing those train tracks that separate campus from South Central. It's like watching the American dream in motion.
Tell me more about that march. What makes it so significant?
Well, take Andrew Sykes, one of the band's drummers. He's a transfer student studying computer engineering who never imagined he'd end up at USC. Every game day, he marches past those 8 Heismans through 137 years of football history and out into what he calls a mini city.
That's fascinating how the physical landscape tells the story. You've got these beautiful Roman columns and manicured lawns on one side of the tracks, and then the heart of South Central on the other.
And USC has always had to balance these different worlds. During the Pete Carroll era, they managed to blend traditional college football with LA culture in this incredible way. You'd have Snoop Dogg and Denzel Washington on the sidelines while the marching band played tribute to Troy.
Though it hasn't always been smooth sailing, has it? The program really struggled after the NCAA sanctions following the Reggie Bush era.
That's right. And here's the irony. Bush had to give up his Heisman for receiving benefits that would be completely legal in today's NIL era. The trophy was finally returned to him in 2024, which really shows how much college sports has changed.
You know what's interesting about USC? Unlike programs in places like Alabama or Ohio State, they have to compete for attention in a city full of entertainment options.
Professor Boyd put it perfectly. He said if Ohio State's not playing well, people will still show up because it's the only show in town. But in LA, you've got to win to be relevant, because people can always go surfing or hiking or watch the Lakers instead.
That pressure to perform seems especially relevant now with Lincoln Riley, doesn't it? Even with that massive contract, he's got to deliver championships.
And that brings us to the present moment. USC trying to recapture its glory days while preparing to move to the Big Ten. It's like they're trying to write the next chapter of their story while staying true to what makes them unique.
Well, look at what happened with King Miller this season. Local kid walks onto the team, then runs for 158 yards against Michigan. It's like the USC story keeps repeating itself in new ways.
That's what makes college football at USC so fascinating. It's not just about X's and O's or wins and losses. It's about this ongoing American story of opportunity, progress, and transformation, all playing out in the heart of Los Angeles.
And every Saturday when that band crosses those train tracks on their way to the Coliseum, they're not just heading to a football game, they're participating in this uniquely American ritual.
You know what really strikes me? The way USC has managed to maintain its identity through all these changes. From embracing black athletes during segregation to incorporating hip-hop culture in the 2000s, they've always found ways to bridge different worlds.
That's what makes it the most American sport at USC. It's this constant balance between tradition and progress, between the ivory tower and the streets, between what was and what could be.
And as we look toward the future, with USC joining the Big Ten and college football evolving with NIL deals and transfer portals, that ability to adapt while maintaining their essential character might be more important than ever.
So in the end, it's really about more than just football, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Every time the Spirit of Troy marches to the Coliseum, they're carrying forward this legacy of opportunity and progress. And whether you're a local kid like King Miller, getting your shot as a walk-on, or a transfer student like Andrew Sykes playing in the band, or even Lincoln Riley coming from Muleshoe, Texas to chase his dreams in LA, you're part of this bigger American story. That's what makes USC football so special, and that's what makes it so uniquely American. Thank you for tuning into the Bro Code Podcast at L. We will catch you guys in next time